Okay, so you're gonna come up here to the front table. You're gonna find your size. Make sure that you get a front and a back in your size. You're also gonna pick up a roll of tracing paper. And I want you to be smart. I don't want you to be wasteful with the tracing paper. So you're gonna lay it out over your pattern pieces so that you're just taking what you need. Okay, so that's how much I need for the front. So I'm just kind of holding that in place with my hand, and then I'm moving this part down, and I need that much for the back. Okay, so just the much I need for the front and the back, not extra, okay? Then I'm gonna grab my blue handled scissors because this is paper, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cut off what I need, just like this. And I'm gonna give my tracing paper to a friend or put it back on the middle table so that somebody else can use it. And now I'm going to lay out my tracing paper on top of my patterns. So it looks like this. I'm ready to get started. I am going to use a pen or pencil and a straight ruler to trace. So I'm just starting anywhere you want, okay? And I'm just gonna start tracing around my pattern. Now, if you want, you can get a pin, and you can stab that through. This is just gonna keep things in place so it doesn't move around as I'm going around the outside here. Now, an important note, I'm tracing on view B right here, but if you're doing view C, then you need to trace around view C. Okay, so don't trace around the wrong line. So I'm gonna show you where that line is here. I'm gonna be making view B, but I want you to see if you're making the shorter version, you need to be on that shorter line. You also don't need as much paper if you're doing the shorter one. Okay, so you see how I'm going around with my ruler to keep things nice and straight. Now I get to what's called a notch right here, and I'm gonna cut the notch out. And so I need to make sure that my marking is outward. Okay, so that's gonna remind me to cut that out. The curve can be a little tricky. Notice I'm not really using the ruler on the curve. I'm just kind of going straight or just doing it by hand. So you can do that, and then when it gets back to going straight, I pull that ruler back out. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go around the whole thing. I'm gonna do the back and the front in the same way for you. This is an extremely important part. You need to make sure you trace off your grain line. A lot of people will forget this. It's that line right down the middle of the pattern. You have to use the ruler when you go over it because it has to be straight. All right, make sure you don't forget that. All right, then I just finish up the rest of it. You need to make sure that you write your name on it, and you're gonna write the size and if it's the front or the back. So that's what I'm writing right there. The size, the front or back, and then make sure your first and last name are written there. Even your class period too would be helpful. Okay, I'm just gonna repeat the exact same thing on the front now. Okay, so I take this out and now I'm gonna do my front. Again, don't forget those notches, the grain line, make sure you're doing the correct view, you're doing everything correctly. Okay, now that I finished that, the next thing I'm gonna do is just cut out my pieces. I'm not gonna cut directly on the line right now because that's kind of a waste of time. I'm just gonna do a rough cut around all of my pieces. Not too close, but getting off some of that extra paper that I don't really need. So I'm just gonna go around both of my pieces really quickly so that I'm working with smaller pieces of paper.